Welcome to this video of another set of 10 CWI Part A questions. These are random questions with explanations provided that will guide you in your preparation for the CWI exam. So let's not waste any of your time and go into the video.
Discontinuity is letter A, always rejectable. Letter B, never rejectable, but its condition should be noted in the inspection report. C, always a defect. D, an indication that renders a part unusable. E, an interruption in the uniformity of a weldment. So remember this when noting of the difference between a discontinuity and a defect. So a discontinuity is not always rejectable because it is not considered a defect, but a defect can be considered as a discontinuity. Since a defect is also an interruption of the uniformity of a weldment. So it is just a matter of whether this interruption is acceptable or not per the code or standard that this weld is adhering to. So letter A, always rejectable, is not true. So a discontinuity is never rejectable, so it's not true as well because if it's not acceptable or if that discontinuity is considered a defect, then it is rejectable. So a discontinuity, as noted, as I've just said, so it's not always a defect. An indication that renders a part unusable, so that's not true as well because that letter D is synonymous to letter C. And the answer here is letter E, an interruption in the uniformity of the weldment. So that is the most accurate or apropos description of a discontinuity. Which of the following discontinuities can be caused by poor welding technique? So letter A, incomplete fusion. Letter B, porosity. Letter C, undercut. Letter D, overlap. Letter E, all of the above. So the answer here is letter E. So all of the above discontinuities can be caused by poor welding technique. So all of them can be caused by a welder that is not following the proper procedure or not uh, doing the proper technique of welding. If a welder is continually turning out rejectable work, the welding inspector should letter A, inspect his work more critically. Letter B, ask that the welder be terminated. Letter C, require requalification. Letter D, instruct the welder in proper techniques. Letter E, ask that the welder use another process. So if the welder continuously turning out rejectable work, that is a good enough reason for him to be requalified. So the answer here is letter C. So some codes have timelines for a welder. For example, if that welder have not worked on a specific welding process, like for example GTAW, FCW, to name a few. But codes do in fact have stated that if a welder demonstrates reason for him to be requalified, like turning out rejections after another, then this is perfectly justifiable to require him of requalification. So letter A, inspect his work more critically, can be subjective. It's not an effective way of objectively determining if that welder is has the skills for that welding process, other than requiring, of course, requalification. So letter B is a draconian or a nuclear solution, immediately terminated. So that's not what the code says. So instruct the welder in proper technique. So how would you objectively uh, do that? So it goes back again to letter C. So ask the welder for to use another process is just not applicable to this. So the answer here is letter C. Which discontinuity occurs in the heat-affected zone and can result from excess moisture in the weld zone? Letter A, throat crack. Letter B, crater crack. Letter C, underbead crack. Letter D, porosity. Letter E, centerline crack. So let's run through the choices here. So throat crack occurs along the center of the weld face caused by excessive joint restraint. So if you have a weld there that is, or you have a weld here that is basically restrained by unyielding supports. So that doesn't allow the joint to expand slightly because of the heat that is being applied by the weld. So that causes throat crack. Crater crack are hot cracks that occur because the arc is broken too quickly cooling and solidifying the weldment and producing a crack. So for example, you don't have proper arc length control of the weldment. So you basically broke the arc too quickly, thus cooling the weldment too cool, thus render it become rendering it becoming brittle. So that will solidify the weldment and produce a crack. So porosity is caused by moisture in the weldment. Center line crack is basically similar to letter A. So what the question asked for here is it occurs in the has or in the weld zone. So not basically in the weld itself, but in the heat affected zone. So you have a weld there, for example. So this is the weldment here. So you have a heat affected zone that is basically some distance away from that weld. So you have a heat affected zone here, and the underbead crack occurs there. So the answer here is if you can eliminate all of it, so all of these defects occur in the weld itself, but not in the has or in the heat affected zone. So the answer here is letter C. So it's the only defect here that occurs in the heat affected zone. So that's the answer there.
By the way, I just want to take a break from the video and remind you of the free Udemy course that I've put in the description down below. So it composes of CWI Part A lectures, the introduction for welding inspectors. So you can check out the description below for that free Udemy course. Now back to the video.
Which of the following is not a type of weld joint? So letter A, lap, letter B, T, letter C, fillet, letter D, butt, letter E, edge. So though commonly coined as fillet welds, it's not a type of joint. So the five common types of joints are lap, T, corner, which is not in these choices, butt, and edge. So the answer here is letter C. A single wire submerged arc welding machine is operating at 32 volts and is traveling at 8 IPM. What is the heat input for this situation? So here are the choices here. So if you're familiar with the heat input formula, which is basically just voltage times current over the travel speed. So, but if you don't know that, so you can basically do some unit analysis here. So if you multiply voltage times current, that produces power, which is watts or joules per second. That is joules per second. So if you divide that by inch per minute, inch per minute, and you basically multiply this by 60 seconds per minute. So if you multiply it by that, then you basically have the unit as seconds, you cancel that, minutes, you cancel that. Then you have what remains here, joules per inch. So you will notice that this will yield the right answer. So if you multiply 32 volts times 600 times 60 divided by 8, that will give letter C, 144,000 joules per inch. The pipe welding test position in which the axis of the pipe is horizontal and the pipe is rotated so that the welding takes place at or near the top is designated as letter A 2G, letter B 2F, letter C 1G, letter D 3G, letter E 6GR. So the answer here is letter C 1G. So if you're basically rotating the pipe so that you can weld that joint at or near the top, then you basically it's just 1G. So that's the answer there. So when establishing a PQR, the type and number of tests required is determined by the applicable standard. Letter B, a face and root bend will qualify all plates. Letter C, testing requirements are determined by the contractor and approved by the inspector. Letter D, destructive testing is required only if a problem is suspected. Letter E, a weld test plate does not have to be mechanically tested to establish a PQR. I think reading from the choices, you'll definitely have the hunch of which is the correct answer here, because if you can see the choices, the most reasonable, or you can almost determine the most reasonable ones here, because if you, for example, the all encompassing choice here, like qualify all plates, does not have to be tested, so that's mainly basically a draconian or or a nuclear choice or an extreme choice that is over encompassing every scenario that is being thrown at you here. So that will probably not be the correct answer. So let's run through all of them. So letter B is not true since a standard shall determine the qualification. So a face and root bend will qualify all plates, not necessarily. So it depends upon the standard. So letter C is similar. Again, the contractor owner or even the inspector does not dictate this. It's the standard. So the inspector is just following the standard. Destructive testing is required per standard whether a problem is suspected or not. So if the standard, for example, requires you to hydrostatic test that weld or impact test that weld, for example, for structural welds or for pressure welds or for welds that has if you were welding high stress materials which may require impact tests, then you have to do them. So it's not just when a problem is suspected. So letter E, again, it depends on the standard. So if the weld test plate have to be mechanical tested or not, so it's not always the case. So the answer here is again letter A. So it depends upon the standard. So the type and number of tests required is determined by the applicable standard. So which of the following measurements are taken from a tensile specimen to determine area? So letter A, mass and volume, B, length and thickness, C, width and length, D, width and thickness, letter E, load and pressure. So if you're looking to determine the area based from a tensile specimen, so you basically have to pull them, right? So you have a testing machine here and you have to pull them. So you need to determine the load, the force basically, and the pressure in which or the stress capacity of that material there that in order for you to determine the area here. So that's the answer here, letter E. So it's not enough for the width and thickness, width and length. So because you're having a tensile specimen there, so you need the load and pressure there. Which of the following conditions can cause slag inclusions in a weld? Letter A, insufficient groove angle in an SMAW single V groove weld. Letter B, careful interpass cleaning of subsequent layer and beads of FCAW. Letter C, insufficient preheat of test plate. Letter D, insufficient shielding gas flow in GTAW. Letter E, improper fit up of GMA test plates. So, insufficient groove angle due to its narrow space can often lead to slag being left in the puddle. So that happens in SMAW. So if you have insufficient groove angle, the tendency there is you have a constraint small area there that most likely that slag will be left there if you have insufficient groove angle because of the tightness of that area. So if you're doing careful interpass cleaning, of course, you will reduce the chances of slag inclusion. Insufficient preheat of test plate is not relevant here because it affects the brittleness of the material. Insufficient shielding gas flow in GTAW. So GTAW does not produce slag. So it's just it's tungsten inclusion, not slag inclusion. Same with letter E. So it doesn't produce slag there or minimal, just minimal production of slag there. So the answer here is letter A, sorry. So this should be letter A.